Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to One Hub Racing. We are here for the second round of what's been a good season so far. Of course, it's only the second round. We're still getting some judgments in, but round one was certainly a cracker in Shanghai. We are here in a wet and wild Portimao, the Algarve International Circuit in the Algarve region of Portugal. Portugal, typically a quite sunny country, however, it is the polar opposite on this chilly December evening, the 2nd of December. Of course, it's the season of having fun and giving, and we hope this race will be a gift of a Grand Prix. I'm alongside Matthew for this evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing a bit better now. Had a miserable time down in the P3 tier on the track, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be interesting to see who can extrapolate the most pace in these conditions, but I'm led to believe the race should be completely dry, so we might have a bit of a mixed-up grid, which would spice it up a little bit. But how are you?
I am doing very well. I haven't commentated on Portugal on this game, so I'm excited to see what these new cars bring. We are here, 1 second, just fixing the game audio for you folks. There we go, we're back. We are here now, starting the first few qualifying laps, 14 minutes and 51 seconds to go in qualifying. And it'll be a very different sort of a session. I love a good wet qualifying because it's just laps upon laps upon laps. We're looking at Nathan Samba, the first man here to go on a real flyer. There's a few in front of him, however, no times on the board just yet. It's a really tricky circuit at the best of times, this Algarve International Circuit, mainly designed for bikes. As many great MotoGP races here throughout the years. Alex Rins winning this year in 2022. Should be a good one this evening though. Looking at Nathan Samba, this is some tricky conditions. Matthew, I believe you had an all dry race. What was the track like for you?
We had a threat of rain. It rained towards the very end of qualifying, but by then most of the people had done their fast laps anyway. The race was completely bone dry, but still not without its issues, but I'm sure we'll get to see them in full glory later. And there's an incident there where an Alpine is facing the wrong way, as I'm on board with the McLaren, who's done lucky to avoid an incident in the early going himself.
Here comes Nathan Samba through the final corner of Galp. He'll set the banker time of a 1:29.985. Then it's Corey who goes to third. Early DNF in China for Corey. He's looking to improve on his result from last week. Next towards the line, that is going to be Jinx, who actually got a 5-second time penalty for a collision at the end of the last race. He goes up to 5th. Next across the line, it'll be Lakitu, who he's invalidated his run there, and then we drop down towards Ayub Khan. See what he can do. It was a 5-second penalty for him in the previous race as well, due to a TAS penalty. It's not a representative time for the McLaren. There goes OP Tim. He goes to 3rd, getting a beautiful slipstream from the Alpine in front of him. However, that's not going to provide too much in the rain. Owen Wyatt, the Northern Irishman, goes to 2nd. Good lap from Owen here, who picked up his 14th points finish in 17 races in One Hub Racing. I do give him a bit of stick for sometimes being a bit of a bottler. However, good statistics always normally point towards very good drivers. Namsko heading through the penultimate corner, turn 14 of Sagre. We'll see what he can do now as he heads through the final, normally flat out corner in the dry of Galp. Of course, it's a really difficult one. Sometimes you see the drivers hooking along that right hand wall to get a better run through the final corner. However, I believe in the wet conditions it's safer to stick to a more dry line. Not a representative time in the end for Namsko. He's going to definitely improve on that one. Here comes Larkin towards this line. His teammate J. Cole's just in front of him. J. Cole goes 7th. Larkin is going to go 8th, and that's the two Scuderia cars, 7th and 8th here, locking out the 4th row of the grid as it stands. Not really where they want to be as Nathan Samba improves his time just ahead of Jamie Mells, who he stopped on the circuit actually. Bit of a spin for Jamie here through turn 2. Very hectic start to qualifying. A lot of surprises there in terms of the runs. Thought the two Ferraris and Namsko might have been a bit quicker.
Yes, it's definitely a frantic start. I've noticed on the telemetry system that Axel has been in because he's had a bit of an incident and dinged his rear wing, so hopefully that doesn't give him any more troubles for the rest of the session, but that is something to keep an eye out. Perhaps if you see him struggling, that will probably be why. They are struggling to get traction in some parts, but Timo just improved a little bit there, and Tony is on a lap, but it doesn't look particularly, I'd say it doesn't look competitive, but I think it might put him up there anyway as he's rounded the final corner a little bit of...
Oh, no, it won't. It's a spin for Tony for the final corner, and he's just put the power down a tap too early there. That's unfortunate. He was AI for most of last week's race, and it's not going to be a lap on the board for Tony, and he's continued on. So, plans to stay out on the track. Tim has improved to third for Haas, just wheel sliding out of the turn 5 corner of Torre Vip. That is Namsco gone to fourth for AlphaTauri. That's a bit more like it for Namsco. Very quick driver in there, signing with the VSR team. Of course, many VSR representatives here in One Hub Racing throughout the years, and Novasta Racer, one of them, Namsco, the newest addition to a star-studded list. Axa back out on track now. We'll see what he can do in the AlphaTauri. Believe he's on a hot lap as he's just heading through turn 9 of Craig Jones.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be that way, but Rydell's having all sorts of issues on his. He's just struggling for traction. It is going to be tricky out there, but Rydell is yet to set a competitive time. I think he's had 2 slight invalidations. But he's chugging along and going around and doing what he can. But yeah, it's definitely my sympathies to all these drivers, because it's difficult in the dry, but to do it in the wet, fair play. And fantastic opening so far, and let's hope we can continue to see the times. Maybe the conditions slightly improve, but it is very, very wet at the moment.
As Axa gone to 11th, just look at Rydell kicking out the rear. This is a toboggan heading round Portimao circuit. This is not a Formula 1 car, that's for sure. This is the utmost difficult conditions, but it's a beautiful, beautiful spectacle to watch. It was an improvement there for Corey, actually, who's gone 5th. Good lap there from Corey in the Alpine team. Oh, currently his teammate sat in 7th spot. He'll be looking to get up there. Rydell goes to 7th despite all his difficulties on that lap, and Namsco improves to 2nd for AlphaTauri. Alfa Romeo across the line. Is that Tony starting another run? It is. So Tony not with a proper run in yet. Of course, he had that spin at the end of his first run, which then unfortunately affected the start of his second. So we'll stick on board with Tony here, see what he can do. That's the end of that, actually. I apologise for another commentator's curse this season.
Well, does it really count if it's raining and they're struggling anyway? Does it count as a commentator's curse?
I'm going to say no, just as a form of saving my own reputation.
Well, yeah, I would definitely call the same there as well. But I was wondering, as I was commentated before, have I just cursed him? But then I thought, no, it's wet. I can probably get away with that one, but I think we're treading a thin line there anyway. But Tony has invalidated again, as you say. Nipro is out there on the track.
Nipro out on track. Improvement there from Ayoub Khan as well. He's gone to 5th. Quick thing for you folks. It's 1st and 3rd sectors, both purple, belong to Jamie Melds. It's the 2nd sector where he is losing all his time. Nipro on an out. We'll see what the Mercedes can do. And a fond memory of me and Mercedes around this track is Nick's straight line speed back 2 seasons ago in the P1 tier. Me and absolutely fascinated by it back in the P1 tier. I wonder will Mercedes run another rocket ship this evening. We're on board with Lakitu as he heads into turn 10 of Portimao, is the name of the corner. Very, very creative when they ran out of names for that one. Really struggling with the traction. You can see just how difficult it is in this Alfa Romeo. However, it's not too bad a run so far for Lakitu. He's looking to get right up there. It's a tricky one so far though in the full wet compound. Tyres are the extreme wets as they're being called now. Not too sure where that's been adapted from, but it's certainly been called the extreme wets, and it's a tyre we never usually see in Formula 1 nowadays. But Lakitu runs very close to the curb for the final corner of Galp, and the Alfa Romeo Sauber heading towards the line. It's not going to be pole position, it's going to be an improvement certainly. It's P11 for Lakitu, and he slots in just ahead of his old nemesis Larkin.
Yeah, he would do, but Nipro's still struggling there. He's validated another lap. He's went very, very wide into through the end of sector. I think it was into the end of sector 1, the end of that straight. But he's still to get a time on the board, but he's still out there trying, and I'm sure Tony will improve as he's up on his personal best time, which wasn't really competitive given the spins. He's had a decent sector 1 before, but this could be a very good improvement, and I expect to see him pop himself inside the top 10 in a moment or two.
Oh, just on board with Jamie Mells. The traction out of the turn 8 corner of Samsung, it's very difficult in the dry. Looking at it in the wet, you just got to drift your way through. However, that is an unbelievable middle sector from Jamie Mells. This Portimao circuit is being absolutely hooked up on a one hub racing. Paul Sitter took his first pole in shocking circumstances last week at the Chinese Grand Prix. I certainly didn't expect him to take it, and he took it right at the dead, taking it off Merckx, who's not here this evening, and Tico, who's not here this evening, so it could be in for an interesting race. Here comes Jamie Mells round the final corner at Galp. Just have to wait to apply the power and across the line. It's a 29-2 for Jamie Mells. It's a new banker. He beats the run of Nathan Samba, and very interesting to see Jamie here. He is quick once again in wet conditions. Is there any way of stopping him as his teammate Tim just runs across the asphalt on the exit of turn 12 and 13?
Well, you say he's looking strong. He's actually just Jamie Mells has actually just had a spin after that lap. So I think it's,
oh god, I'm really on form with the commentators' curse this evening.
It's a great timing there. I think he's just felt good about his lap, but I don't know. I think he's just got on the power slightly too early, just to try and get out of the way of a car behind him, and just done a 360 pirouette. It looked pretty beautiful, but I'm sure he won't mind that. I don't think he's done any damage. No damage reported yet. But,
speaking of damage, there was almost a shattered McLaren in the wall. Jinx had a bit of a moment out of the final corner. Galp, he controlled it perfectly, brought it into the pits. Owen Wyeth, your latest improver, he's gone up to 4th. So it's looking nice for the two Hasses and the two Aston Martins here in this session so far. However, there's no looks of the weather dying down at this moment, and we see J. Cole down by 1/10 of a second. The two Ferraris having a poor qualifying so far, usually a strong team. Larkin and J. Cole struggling in the wet conditions. I've never actually really seen wet conditions as bad as this in one hub racing, so I could not tell you about a lot of these guys in full wet conditions. We've certainly had a few inter races in the past, but never usually something as bad as this, as Nathan Samba is back out on the circuit.
Yeah, it's not often we see conditions like these, but it is becoming a bit of an attritional qualifying session. But Cass has just improved to P3
big
there.
improvement from Cass. Cass gone to 3rd, and Cass in a Williams that has won 110 one-hub racing races. It was Merckx who took the 110th win in China, and Williams now the most successful team in one-hub racing, which is it's awfully interesting statistics that they have on the teams. And Williams topping the pile. Nathan Samba starts his next one. Let's keep an eye on this Aston Martin as he heads down in towards turn number 1 of Premiera and in towards turn 2. It's the first crash of the session actually. It's Timo who's gone off, so we're going to just jump to that really quickly as Ryder Dahl is coming up to the scene of the accident, just on the right hand side. Picked up the power out of Galp. We saw Tony have a similar spin. We saw Jinx have a bit of a moment as well, and it's an unfortunate end to the session for Timo. He is out of qualifying here for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Back towards Nathan Samba. He heads through Torre Veep up towards 6 and 7. No names on some of the corners here. Just look at this. Just look at this battling. The boat that is the Aston Martin Cognizant AMR car. It's awfully difficult through this section of circuit through Samsung. The Aston Martin just battling to keep on the road, but Nathan Samba doing a very good job of it. And I have to say, it is really interesting to watch these guys at work. They really got to work for the results sometimes in Formula 1. This is, or one-hub racing, I should say. This is one of them.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to come easy to whoever ends up in a pole position at the end of this session. But Samba has gone even quicker through there than he's been before. So this is going to be very, very close to the final 2 minutes and 40 seconds. This session has absolutely flown by. It's almost like a sprint race out there, such is the desire to try and find the extra 10th of a second, which is going to be very, very key as Samba will cross the line.
That's close. 29.444 for Nathan Samba. 4-4, of course. Lewis Hamilton's race number. It took his 92nd victory in this Portuguese circuit. Tim's improving towards the line. Let's keep an eye on the Haas. Can he go up near his teammate Jamie Mells? He absolutely can. Haas have locked out the front row here with 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go in qualifying for the Portuguese Grand Prix. This is going to get really interesting. Can somebody produce a masterclass? Tim won't be the one to do it on his next run. He's taking a spin. Somebody improving there. Is that Cass improving? No. Who's improved? It was Larkin actually, who's gone to 7th. For the good of the Ferrari team, most successful team around this Portimao circuit, and Larkin improves there. Ayub Khan to the line. No, 9 seconds down on that run. Don't think it's a representative time at the pace that Ayoub has. Ryder Dahl on another run. We saw him having some difficulties early on. Let's have a look and see as he fixed those.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll do everything in his power to do that, and Nipro is getting very, very close to track limits there on the exit of the corner, but gets away with that. But perhaps in these conditions, again, being a little bit lenient. Do that in the race, you'll probably get an instant warning for it. At least I did earlier, but never mind. That's
improvements here for Nathan Samba. He could go to the top and break Haas's early party. Let's see, can the Aston Martin have another say in this qualifying session? He absolutely can. It's a 29-1. We're getting closer to the 28th every lap that goes by. One more run in the tank for him. Jamie Mells and Bo Tim have invalidated. However, there should be another run for those as well. Namsco could be another one for him, but he's currently improving as he heads through the turn 10 and 11 section into 12 and braking for 13. You've got to be careful on the brakes here. Looks like he's backed off. He hasn't. That's just the pace these cars have to run. He's backed off now, but earlier on he hasn't. He's certainly backed off now as Owen White heads through. That's turn 11 and 12 as well. Owen Wyatt's improving. It says it's purple in the middle sector. It's not according to our TAS telemetry system provided by TAS. There's an improvement there. And that's Ayoub Khan, actually, who's gone to 5th. Good qualifying for Ayoub. Great to see as here comes Owen Wyatt heading down the final corner. Turn 15 of Galp. He's taken pole before and One Hub Racing took it around the Hungaroring. Can he take it here in Portimao? No, he cannot. It'll be 4th place. Still a good qualifying. Tim is actually off the circuit here. So Tim has made a mistake. It won't be pole for one Haasman. What can the other provide? Nathan Samba is currently on course to break into the 28th. He's had a snap there heading through Segres of turn 14, and Nathan Samba's going to have to be really, really careful here. Just kicking out the rear. But that's the limit. You kind of have to be all around a wet circuit, especially one as difficult as this roller coaster here in Portugal. Oh, look at this. Sliding it out like he's a drift champion. There'll be no improvement. But my, was that entertaining as Jamie Mells. Is he down on a run? We'll have to wait and see. Looks like he's making a mistake here. We'll see his second sector split as he heads up the hill in towards turn 10 of Portimao. We'll see. He looks all out of shape. Is that Tony in front? I believe it is Tony in front who's making some mistakes of his own. Here comes Jamie Mells. He heads through the sector split. No, surely this is down. Surely this is down. He's 0.3 of a second down. He's going to have to find quite a lot of time if he wants to take pole position, his second pole of the season, his second career pole position here in One Hub Racing. Cass heading through Segres, heading towards Galp. Looks down on his time here, Cass, but Cass has thrown a few surprises in this qualifying session for an oh-so-successful Williams Racing team. Here he goes, towards the line. Can Cass steal pole position at the death? He's given it a good go. He has given it a good go, and Jamie Mells has made a mistake through Galp. Ladies and gentlemen, unless Tony can provide a shock, that is qualifying over. Nathan Samba takes pole position here in One Hub Racing.
Yes, he certainly does, but Nipro did get a lap in towards the end there, and he's gone to P9, so that's a great improvement, considering he was struggling to set a competitive lap time. So at the death, he's gone P9.
Good run there for Nipro, who was struggling to keep it on the asphalt. He's got it into P9 and the top 10 start here in Portugal. It is a two-way fight up top. It's an Aston Martin starting first, an Aston Martin starting fourth, and then Haas being the sandwich filling in between. We're waiting for Jamie Mells to just go into his garage, and then we can run you through the full qualifying results, ladies and gentlemen. But very interesting qualifying. I'm excited for the race now. It's got to be completely different conditions. So that was dry setups, and I think Nathan Samba has to be given some accolades for his drifting at the end. I quite enjoyed that.
Yes, that was definitely one for the highlight reel. Hopefully he was in control of that. But anyway, he didn't seem to do any damage, but the official qualifying results are as follows. Here
is the official qualifying results. The Belgian Nathan Samba takes pole position. He's Belgium. He's probably used to a spot of rain here and there. For Aston Martin, 129.119. Followed by Jamie Mells and OP Thiem in third. It's Owen Wyatt starting fourth ahead of Cass in fifth. Namsco in sixth, followed by Ayoub Khan in seventh. It's then Larkin, Nipro, Ryder Dahl, Axa, Corey, Jinx, Lakitu, Timo, J. Cole, and then last on the grid will be Tony for a second consecutive week. Wasn't really a proper lap for Tony, so we'll have to see what he can do in the dry. It's another pole for Nathan Samba. He'll start from the front of the grid. I'm now going to hand back over to Matthew for a quick run through our fantastic One Hub Racing sponsors.
Yes, we have some fantastic, wonderful partners and sponsors here at One Hub Racing, and I will start with the sponsors of Next Level Racing, who sponsor the league by providing prizes. And we have Pure Sim Gear, who sponsor the league by providing a new product not launched yet to the driver with the most podiums. So that's definitely an exciting incentive. And of course, back for another season is Gamergoo, who sponsor the league by providing Gamergoo samples to trophy winners. And we have Asatec Sim Sports, sponsor the league by providing a multitude of prizes with different ways to win them. For example, the driver with the most fastest laps wins a set of 40 pedals, and the driver with the shortest combined qualifying time wins a set of 40 pedals and boots. And now we move to our partners here. We have Vespertine, who support our official apparel, and we have ERT, who partnered the ERT Go and Get Stuff Award and the league trophies. And finally, we have SimGrid. We are now powered by SimGrid, and we run our seasons through their community and platform, and it's a very cool little place to find all the standings and all the current events that we need to know about. And of course, we can see if drivers aren't going to be here for any specific week. So that is all of those. And of course, I should mention thank you to the TAS people behind the scenes that work diligently to get us the information that drivers or spectators of our wonderful forums here might not be privy to, but we can tell if a driver has a broken wing or has damage to a wheel or whatever. If their tyres are dated, we can tell that. So thank you to the TAS team, and we are going to get started very shortly with the formation lap.
Here we go then, folks. Formation lap time. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in. Give us a prediction in the chat. We always love a little bit of a discussion here, so give us your prediction in the chat. Here we go. Formation lap time then. Let's see what tyres these guys are going to be running for the start of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Of course, it is 2 pit stops mandatory here in One Hub Racing. Of course, we have the engine wear rule. That's not really going to come into effect this early on in a season, but Nathan Zamba starts from the front row of the grid for Aston Martin, followed by Jamie Mells taking his second front row of the grid start in 2 weeks. It was one better as Paul in China. However, he did not lead into turn number 1. Owen White starts 4th ahead of Cass in 5th. Matthew, who wins this one? I know it's difficult to predict, but who would you say?
I'm going to say the person that wins this will probably have the least amount of penalties. That's going to be it is very easy to pick up penalties around here, as we saw in the P1 tier earlier. I'm not entirely certain about the P2 tier. I haven't been able to keep an eye on that race as it's developing, but definitely P1. P3 had a lot of penalties. But I think I'm going to put my neck out on the line and say you're going to see a winner from outside the top 10. And that winner is in a blue car. And that is all I'm prepared to say at this stage. Jump if it's Corey. Pressure's on.
Well then, we're coming around. I would read out some driver stats, however most of the stats I have prepared are on drivers who haven't shown up this week, but if you're interested, it was the Confessor who took his 10th driver of the day. Ooh, Nathan Sampa's gone for a spin actually, so we'll hold that thought. Nathan Sampa going for a bit of a spin. The Confessor took his 10th driver of the day award last week, and of course mentioned in qualifying Owen Wyatt, his 14th One Hub Racing points finish in 10 races. Very interesting. We'll see. Can we see a masterclass maybe this evening? Maybe like the one Ayrton Senna provided us with, winning by lapping everybody for his maiden win in the Lotus, apart from the man in second place. Of course, that was Michele Alboreto. May know him more famously from the Parabolica corner, which is now named the Curva Alboreto after himself. But lining up on the grid then. Oh, Tony smashed the wall actually on the medium compound tyres. Probably wasn't in the plan. Hard tyres for Jinx. He's the only one not on a set of the soft compound or the medium compound. This should be an interesting one. Tony lines us up on the grid then for round 2 of the One Hub Racing P1 Championship. Here we go then. 5 red lights on a wide grid here in Portugal, and we go racing here in Portugal. Nathan Samba with a bit of wheel spin off the start. Jamie Mells, it's another poor launch, and it looks like the Aston Martin and the Haas are all alongside. It's towards turn number 1 of Premiera for the first time. Jamie Mells just defends from his teammate Tim in towards turn number 2. Big send here from Owen White up the inside, getting on the sausage curb on the better tyres. That's not the start he would have wanted to be larking up the inside of Ayub Khan. Ayub Khan goes off the circuit to avoid a collision just like Checo Perez in 2020. Here comes Cass then, trying to look up the inside of Old White. Big dive from Ryder Dow. Up the inside of ERT Larkin. Can he possibly get the move done? No, the Ferrari is going to hold firm here as they enter in towards turn number 7 and 8 for the first time. Is Ryder Dow going to hold it round the outside here in towards turn 8? It's a beauty of a move from Ryder Dow early on here in One Hub Racing P1 tier. This is an excellent race start as Axe is trying to look the long way around the outside. Jinx, is he gonna go? Which now becomes the inside, heading here in towards Portimao corner. Namsco getting all out of shape as well with Larkin. This is a real tussle in the mid-pack to try and get the early positions here. Corey's picked up a 5-second time penalty for cutting a corner and gaining a place. Nathan Samba leads by 1.2 seconds on the opening lap here in Portugal.
Yes, that's quite a fast and frantic start, and I've just noticed on the TAS, between qualifying and the race, we have 3 or 4 drivers that aren't set up correctly, which is confusing, because they were fine in qualifying, and now we're at the race.
Oh, look at this, Owen Wyatt.
16, 14 and 0.
Owen Wyatt has passed OP Tim. It's now Aston Martin's game. 1-3 for the Aston Martin boys. It's 2-4 for the Hasses. And Larkin and Axa side by side. Soft tyres seem the better here at the opening stages. Sometimes it can be a bit funny in the mediums, be the better one. But looks like Larkin's going to try hooking up the inside. Axa will try get the run on the Scuderia Ferrari car down in towards turn 5 of Torre Veep. Here he is, late on the brakes for the AlphaTauri. The 2 Italian cars collide. And Larkin, oh, not too sure who's at fault for that one. It was a bit of a lunge from Axa, we'll give him that, but Larkin moving maybe in the braking zone. Stewards will decide it after the race as Jinx. Oh, Jinx has actually tipped round Axa and this contact into Samsung corner. And ERT Jinx is involved in a collision for the second week running, and he's hit J. Cole. Jinx on the wall, and it looks like the virtual safety car's been brought out here pretty quickly. Jinx picking up some front wing damage. That's an awful lap 2 for the McLaren man, colliding with Larkin, or colliding with Axa, and then colliding with J. Cole. Very unfortunate for the McLaren. Front wing damage and a trip to the pits needed for the man on the hard compounded tyres.
Yes, if there's ever a person out there that you don't want to see have an early incident, it's someone on the hard tyres, because they're prepared to go long and deep into the race potentially to make late stops on 2 softer tyres, maybe with the help of a safety car. You certainly wouldn't be the one to be wanting to stop under a virtual, but DRS is now enabled as the virtual safety car.
Oh, look at this race in the pits! Race in the pits for Timo and J. Cole. J. Cole comes out on top. That was a close one. His own Wyatt's picked up a corner-cutting penalty. Probably ran wide through turn number 1 of Premiera, I presume. It's very mixed for the strategies as they're all getting wings changed, I believe. But OP Tim and Ayub Khan, or not Ayub Khan, Cass in the middle and Ayub Khan, apologies, in a bit of a Loctite battle here. 0.6 of a second separating the McLaren and the Williams. It's been an interesting race so far, pretty hectic. However, Nathan Samba looking pretty comfortable up top.
Yeah, he's looking very comfortable at the moment, but I just noticed the virtual safety car was out for 37 seconds, and the people at the back who pitted must have thought, oh, we're going to have a virtual safety car, and as they commit to the pit lane, it ended, so they could potentially be a little bit worse off than if they'd have waited a few laps or so. But anyhow, you have there was an almighty scramble going into the pit lane as well. I noticed it was fantastic to watch.
Tyres, by the way, in the front too, 26% for Nathan Samba, who's coming up as player 0. I do hope that's an issue on our end, and not Nathan Samba, who's going to receive a 5-second penalty for a faulty TAS system. Jamie Melston, 22% on his soft compound tyres. These guys are pushing Tim arguably in the best position in terms of strategy. However, with a 2-stop and 1-hub racing, anything can really happen, as Corey is into the pits. Was involved in something on lap 1, Corey. Not too sure what it was, however, he did pick up a 5-second time penalty, so there was certainly something along the grapevine. And Ayub Khan is still the one attacking Cass here, 4P number 5. Ayub running well so far in this Portuguese Grand Prix.
Yes, he's certainly running well so far in the early stages on lap 4 of 33, which will go by in an absolute flash. I'm very certain this is going to be a very competitive race, especially in the lower to midfield. There's going to be a lot of real estate there for points. Remember, points all the way down to P12 with one-hub racing, and of course, fastest lap points in and outside of the top 10. So 2 fastest lap points available for any driver.
Corey runs wide on cold tyres, and Jinx says I'll have a bit of that. Up the inside goes the McLaren, and now the 2 Alpines battling. Corey is letting Timo through here. It's Team orders at Alpine, you'd never see that in real life, but Lakitu's trying to... Oh no, hold on a second. You'll see that in real life. It's the two Alpines making contact and Lakitu being involved in it as well. Now Nipro getting involved. The ERT man has one ERT man sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix with a 1:20.142. Timo attacking his teammate Corey after he was supposedly being let through. It didn't work out that way and they've lost a couple of seconds because of that one. That's it's not gone to well plan for Alpine.
No, it could have been. Oh no, it's Timo's off again.
Oh no,
tyres are just not working for him.
Apologies, Fly Emirates. There's been a board smashed there, and Timo's gone through it in his BWT Alpine car, and it's not worked out so far for Alpine this race. Those hard tyres, they really don't seem to be doing well. Of course, we saw the spin from Jinx, who early on the hard tyres, we're not seeing Nipro and Timo perform too well, and all ERT men, maybe ERT, need to avoid the hard tyres at all costs. Ayub Khan, still the closest battle on track. Oh no, never mind, apologies. Nipro right behind Lakitu, almost runs in the back of him for 14th position, and this is actually a crucial battle because these guys have already did one pit stop, of course, out of 2, and now Nipro is going to have to try and find a new way past Lakitu. Lakitu on the better tyres, so I think he'll soar away into the distance, but it was a bit icy into turn number 1. Corey's had enough. Corey's out of the Grand Prix. He retired on lap 6 last week, lap 5 this week, hopefully not lap 4 next week. But that is Corey already out of the Grand Prix here in Portimao. Awful unfortunate for Alpine, who are currently 16th in the DNF. That's not the start of the season they wanted.
When I said he would be first.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
First retirement.
I did forget about that as Nams go into the pits on the soft tyres.
Yeah, it's always worth carrying on because you never know what's going to happen. It's an early retirement again for Corey. He's not doing so well there, but of course we're down to 16 runners. We started with 17. We're only on lap 6, and I feel like we've had a race worth of incidents already. So I cannot wait for the rest of this race to find out what happens to everybody else. Yeah,
should be a fun one. Tim starting to pressure the soft tyre runners of Owen, or the one soft tyre runner of Owen White. There's a hefty gap between himself and Jamie Mells. Cass and Ayub Khan getting on to a bit of this as well, getting on to the train as they head through turn number 10 of Portimao, just avoiding that yellow sausage curb, which can be quite deadly at the best of times through 12 and 13. Very flowing section of track, this, of course, Lando Norris. Describing it as a roller coaster. No, I believe that was in... that was actually the Circuit of the Americas, but this one's certainly a roller coaster. If you wanted to get an accurate quote, that's a tongue twister, and that one's caught me. Jamie Mells says the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He beats Nathan Samba's fastest lap as there's an early pitter. It's Ryder Dahl in on lap number 7 out of 33. It's only a short lap around Portimao. We're cutting through these laps like a knife through butter. And yellow flag, actually. There is a yellow flag for Lakitu, who's gone off into the grass. And that is another incident for Lakitu. Had a spin at Torre Veep of turn 5, and he's had a spin there through what looks like it is turn 14 of Sagres. However, not too sure. OP Tim now really pressuring on wide. Whose tyres? There's a reason they're not coming up. It's because they're not coming up on my task. I was going to say 0% seems a bit of a stretch, but we'll see. Are they going to come on? Nope, they are not. Only tyre delta for the front 2 here in this Grand Prix for me. Whereas Owen White, he's certainly struggling on those tyres as he's picked up a 3-second time penalty.
Yes, he's certainly looks like he's struggling, but I think he'll probably be in this lap, knowing that he might do the opposite of the two in front of him because they're the only ones out there on soft. So if I was Owen White, I'd be looking to do the undercut now. But if they pit, maybe I'd either pit or not pit. But I think I'd be looking to go opposite just to...
Oh, hold on a second. 3-wide battle with Nipro in the gravel. So, not too sure what's happened here. Looks like there's a real scrap going on for P11. J. Cole just backing up Jinx. Both on 4-lap old mediums, and there's contact again between the Ferrari and the McLaren. Not for the first time this race either. They've made contact. Back up the top, Tim is really hounding the Aston Martin into a move here. We'll see what Tim can do. Can he find a way past the Aston Martin? It is still Haas versus Aston Martin, well and truly, in this Grand Prix. There's a 4-second gap between the two pairings, but this is looking like a good move for Tim. Outside or inside, goes for the outside into Torre Veep. He's going to have to go the long way and try to make this move work. He cannot let on wide, run him wide. He's going to get the better exit, and that's a beauty of a move from Tim to get past Owen White through Torre Veep, runs it round the outside. excellent overtake. Runs a bit wide in towards Samsung, but the Haas has got the move completed and is still the lead medium runner. However, he is now ahead of a soft man. That's a big play in this race, and the front runners will see that and maybe, just maybe, pit this lap.
Yes, I think that was definitely a cue for Owen White to say enough of these tyres aren't coming in, lads. Give me some new ones that are going to get me further. I would have been tempted to pit on the last lap as well, but yeah, I can certainly see why he didn't. But I would expect him to on this time around.
Yeah, I would expect him in. Oh no, never mind, his teammate Nathan Samba's in. His teammate Nathan Samba's got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pits. Owen White is left out to struggle, and that is a bit of an error from our race leader Nathan Samba. There's now penalties on board both of these cars, and it seems like that could be a bit of a subplot of this race is the penalty count. Let's see, both mediums. Yes, they are both mediums. It'll be a double medium, I imagine, as Nathan Samba will exit still in the provisional lead of this Grand Prix ahead of Jamie Mells. Almost spun out of the pits there, actually. Really close for Nathan Samba. And now Jamie Mells is going to have to try and keep with this Aston Martin, who is very, very good on fresh tyres. Cass and Ayub Khan still not working away past the struggling Owen Wyatt. And we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out. But so far, very interesting race as Ryder Dahl is on the back of Namsco. Namsco having a howler of a Grand Prix so far.
Yes, it's certainly been a great opening for him, and OP Tim out in front on the medium tyres is in a good position. But has Owen White taken these tyres one lap too long?
Hold on a second, Jinx in the wall again. Was on board with the battle between himself and Axa, and Jinx has lit up the rear and put himself in the wall. There is no damage for Jinx. Not too sure if that's actually working on the TAS. That could be that, but no damage. Owen White is going to be feeling like a new man. He's going to be feeling like he's got a new jacket for Christmas. That is going to feel like such a relief on those softs, getting onto fresh ones or fresh mediums. That might just be the worst reference in my career, by the way. The jacket at Christmas. Don't ask me where that's come from. But Owen White is on to fresh rubber. Nathan Samba and Jamie Mells will get out well in front of the other Aston Martin here. So an overcut's not worked out.
No, it was always worth a gamble. But I think if you're gonna, you should probably box the previous lap where you saw the leaders carry on. As we could see, he was struggling a little bit with tyres, so perhaps it would have been better to switch then. But I'm sure if anyone can turn this race around, Owen White can. As you say, he's had an incredible streak of late. Can he keep it going? I'm sure he will. He's in a good position right now. But there's still another 22 laps to go, or worse to that effect. There's a number out there. But there's another penalty for AXA.
Yeah, Jinx has unfortunately given up the ghost, and he had another spin. He's not retired, he's actually just left the session, so there'll probably be a penalty if one of the admins is watching, but that is it for Jinx. As Ryder Dahl still hounding Namsco, not working his way into a move, as Cass starting to pull away a bit from Ayub Khan, and Tim doing that as well. Of course, no cars in front of them now, they can stretch their legs a little bit. Cass, though, good pace so far in this race. I'm impressed with the Williams. In Merck's absence, Cass looks like a good teammate.
Yes, I was going to say, Cass has just set a fastest lap of the race with a 20.3, so he's definitely doing well. Drivers are getting quicker all the time there, because you have Owen White just setting his fastest Sector 3 as well, fresh out of the pit, so it's definitely the right call to have pitted maybe a little bit earlier than he did. But there's still a long way to go in this race. You never know what's about to happen. But it is a fascinating battle to find out who's going to come out on top today in the P1 tier of One Hub Racing. Yeah, it's a spin for Nipro. Nipro, unfortunately. The ERT boys are struggling, apart from Nathan Samba. Of course, no assists to P1 tier now, and you can certainly see the effects of the difficult traction zones. They're certainly showing up here in Portimao. No matter how good a driver is, the track can never hide its difficult sections. 1.4 the gap, 1.5 the gap now. Tim is flying up the front of this race, and I'm not too sure if Cass just made a mistake. Oh, Cass in the pits actually. So the Williams is into the pits here. Just about keeps it under the speed. Ayub Khan and Tim will carry on. Interesting here for Cass.
We'll see if the Williams just goes for it on a set of the mediums, or if there's going to be a set of softs at play. Of course, it's the first medium pitter here in this Grand Prix. Going to be another set of the mediums, and then it'll be softs probably come the end of the race.
Yes, it certainly opens up a whole lot of options for all the drivers now to be pitching onto whatever tyre they want. It's probably...
Ooh, might get out in front of Owen Wyatt here. May get out in front of Owen Wyatt. Here's Owen Wyatt on the outside of Premiera. Oh, the Aston Martin sweeps around the outside. The Williams very unlucky to lose out on that one. A few more tenths of a second, and that would have been curtains for Owen Wyatt. And Cass is going to do all that Cass can do to try and get that spot back. Namsco just behind, so Cass has got out actually in a really good spot, just ahead of some slower traffic. Not saying Namsco and Ryder are slower, but they are a pit stop behind. Namsco still under pressure from Ryder. Namsco, though, not feeling it, and is telling Ryder that he will absorb it like a shock absorber.
That's probably a bit of a better reference to be remembered by at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm going to have to come up with an actual decent one. Anything better than that jacket. That was awful.
Yeah, but I'm sure we've got time.
As we see... Oh, speaking of time, Nipro picking up a 3-second time penalty. Those hard tyres are not where it's at. Those hard tyres are not where it is at. They are awful in this one, and you can see that by Timo and Nipro's pace. That's not the drivers they are, it's just the tyres being terrible. And anytime we have seen a car on the hard tyres in this Grand Prix, it's not worked out too nicely for them. Lap 13 of 33. It is OP Tim who's leading, however strategy game is still in the ballpark. Larkin is 9.4 behind Ayoub Khan and Tim. It's not really where the P2 Championship Challenger last season would want to be. He'd want to be right up there. Oh, almost was off the circuit actually, so Larkin just having a few issues here. We're starting to see some mistakes creep into some drivers driving that you would not necessarily expect it here. As to Samsung, Larkin easy on the power and just keeps it down nicely.
That could be the medium tyres are about to start falling off the proverbial cliff. They would be 12 laps now, so there's probably a couple left before they'd have to go to probably another medium and then soft at the end, or you could switch it up and go soft to be really quick now to get ahead of your rivals and try to hold them off later. But it's definitely a gamble, and it's certainly going to be interesting to find out why does it... okay, we've lost another hard
second retirement in the pit lane. It's Nipro who's gone, so no jinxies left. Nipro retiring, and Corey as Tony running P4 actually. Tony ventures into the pits on 12 lap old mediums, kind of kept himself to himself here, and Tony has got himself up in a good spot as Lakici picks up another penalty. We'll see where Tony comes out. I think it still could be in front of some of the cars we've seen have some mistakes. Yellow flags, that is for, of course, the Mercedes of Nipro. It's another set of mediums for Tony. He's going to come out ahead of J. Cole here, so it's not bad for Tony. Running in the top 10 after making a pit stop. That's not bad going for the man who was struggling in qualifying. Good to see Tony showing his true colours.
Yeah, he never got a chance to show what he could do last week, which was always disappointing to see, but when you have connection issues such as he was having, sometimes that happens. But yeah, it's always good to see him up in the top 10, and he's had pretty much a guaranteed shot at top 10 there. He's done a great first stint, and he had the traffic open up for him, and people behind him were making mistakes. He just kept himself to himself, as you say, and he's out in P10 looking very good to get some very good points today as the race leader pits.
Race leader into the pits, that's Tim in. Let's take a look at the Haas's pit stop. We'll see what the Haas crew can do and what tyres they are going to put their man on. They put Jamie on a set of mediums, so I imagine Tim's going to select the same tyres. It's a set of mediums at the pit stop. The last box, there's 42 in total here in Portimao. That looks, we'll do a quick count, 42, 40, looks about 36 average down for Tim. He's come out ahead of Owen Wyatt, or has he come out ahead of Owen Wyatt? Similar situation into Premiera. Owen Wyatt gets the switch on the inside, and he's got past him in towards turn number 3. That's an intelligent piece of driving from the Aston Martin. Jamie. Tim would be... He'd be slow on the apex, so he's hooked it on the inside, and it's a great little move. Cass on the back of Tim. Tim still got out in 6th position. That is going to become... I believe it's going to become P4-ish, or is it? Because here comes Cass up his inside, heading in towards turn number 7. Cass has gone clean round the outside. He's got the better exit of Torre Veep, and Cass has got the spot ahead of Tim, so it's worked out well for Owen Wyatt and for Cass. However, Tim has no penalties, and everybody else battling for this race win does, so that could be an interesting element towards the end of the Grand Prix. It's currently Nathan Samba, your provisional leader, ahead of Jamie Mells, Owen Wyatt, Cass, and Tim. That is your top 5.
Yes, and of course, of those top 5, only Nathan Samba in the top 5 has a 5 second for speeding in the pits. Everyone else is 3 seconds, but you also have 5 seconds for J. Cole and Timo down in 11th and 14th respectively. So it's certainly nowhere near being over yet. It's going to be fascinating to find out what happens. When will Ayub Khan pit? Or what will Samba do for his pit stop? Will he just drive even faster to negate the penalty? And Owen Wyatt is up into the 4th now and is doing quite well from that earlier loss of performance on those older tyres.
Larkin on softs here, so the Ferrari team have tried something different. Normally a very scary sentence to hear from a commentator, but it might work out this time for the Scuderias. They put Larkin on softs to try regain what was lost in the earlier parts of this Grand Prix. Tim putting Cass under a world of pressure. Much better tyres on board that Haas, and it's better tyres for Cass, and ahead of or behind Owen Wyatt. His tyres are better than Owen Wyatt's, is what I'm trying to say. Owen Wyatt 6 laps, Cass 4, Tim on fresh. So we'll see how this one plays out into turn 10 of Portimao. Will there be a bit of ascent? No, this is going to be a mini DRS train, I believe, down the main straight. However, we'll wait and see how it plays out. Might play out very well as Ayub Khan is into the pits. This is also going to be an interesting element. How has Ayub Khan played his cards here? Will it be a clean sweep for Ayub Khan, or will he take all 3 of them out of the pits? Cass is under a lot of pressure here as they're heading through Galp, heading down the 969 metre main straight here in the Algarve International Circuit. Cass is going to have to defend this one, because here comes Tim. Is it going to be the inside for Tim? Surely it is for the Haas. It's defended to the inside for Cass. Is OP Tim actually going to get the both of them? He's going to have to try go the long way around the outside of the Aston Martin. The Williams of Cass on the inside. It's not worked out too well for Tim here, because Cass has defended the inside quite beautifully. And that is a good piece of defensive driving. Ayub Khan has come out of the pits behind the 2 slower cars of Namsco and Ryder Dahl. What can Tim do in towards Torre Veep? He was setting up the move into this corner on the last lap. It's late on the brakes. It's later for Cass in the Williams. Tim tries to get the exit on the inside. Cass did this to him 2 laps ago. Tim gonna try to return the favour with a taste of the Williams' own medicine, but in towards Samsung. Tries a switch back beautifully on the brakes for Cass, and that's going to be defended heading through turn number 8. Good piece of defensive driving for Cass.
Yes, that is quite a fantastic battle we've just seen there. And it's not even close to being finished yet, but Owen Wyatt must be looking in his mirror thinking, you guys keep doing that, I'm going to have a bit of a breathing room over you in a moment. But it is such a great battle. You've got battles.
Oh, up the inside again. It's going to continue well before the main straight as they head into 14. It's great. Tim is trying it up the inside and around the outside. He's still going to hold it around the outside. Oh, is this a beautiful move from Tim? Round the outside for the penultimate corner. On the outside for the final corner. And on to P4 as they head onto the main straight. Cass, does he have enough? This is drag racing down the long wide straight here in the Algarve Circuit. Jinx retires from the session. Who's got the more straight line speed? The Williams is the more straight line speed. The Mercedes powers worked out beautifully, but Tim's racecraft is still excellent. Up the inside in towards turn number 3 of Lagos. He still has to battle it. He still has to scrap it. They're losing an awful lot of time, and now it's a snap for the Haas F1 car. He's called it well, but there goes the chance into Torre Veep. Oh, that's just beautiful racing and beautiful defending from Cass in the Williams, as Jamie Mells has picked up a 3-second time penalty. That now cancels out that 5 for Nathan Samba.
Yes, it's certainly done that, but in all of that, Lakitu, that's not the best thing to be doing there in your position, but yeah, I was going to say who's fastest overall, and now I can't see. I think it was, it was Larkin. In all that excitement there, Larkin, you talk about gaining time, Larkin in the Ferrari has just been a second quicker than anybody, so he's definitely feeling in tune with these soft tyres. But how key will the soft tyres be towards the end of this race for the lead 4 or 5 cars, with the 3 seconds and 5 second penalties intertwined, and Jamie has 6 seconds of penalties, so he could well be out of contention already. So the man in 3rd place is doing quite well now. He's needs to find a little bit of time to be back in contention, and of course everybody bar Lakitu needs to do another pit stop and it's going to be interesting and fascinating to find out what strategy they go on from this point on.
Ayoub Khan passing Ryder Dahl. He's on much better tyres as Ayoub Khan. Keep an eye because he'll be on the back of Tim sooner rather than later. And Namsko still surviving. Tim, he's had a go into 14, he's had a go into 1. It's third time the charm into Torre Veep. The Haas goes up the inside with a late braking manoeuvre. Cass is going to hold this one clean around the outside and he's also going to get the traction. Third time is not the charm for Tim and he's going to have a fourth go somewhere along the circuit. And he's not planning these too well. Some late lunges. Owen Wyatt is still just backing up Cass here. Is Tim going to have a go into 10 of Portimao? It would be the next realistic overtaking option. He is going to have a go into 10 of Portimao. The Haas goes up the inside. Oh, he's just been left enough room. Cass leaving him that car width and a centimetre that the drivers are required to give, and the Williams is providing some Ayrton Senna-esque defending in a country Ayrton Senna absolutely loved. However, it was Ayrton Senna's rival who was most successful here, Alain Prost, and these two are certainly becoming rivals for a fierce championship fight. Owen Wyatt just about breaking out on the straights as Jamie Mel set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Ayoub Khan starting to pounce on the back of Tim as well. Here comes Tim though. Can he have another go into Premiere of turn number 1? No, he cannot, and the Haasman is going to have to sit behind once again. Is it going to be a late move into turn 3? No, thinks better of it, and that Safina sponsorship is just getting even more mocking to the Haas. Bit of a snap as well for the Haas as Namsko been passed by Ayoub Khan now, and Ryder Dahl is into the pits. He was in this battle. He's into the pit lane now, and it's going to be a fresh set of the medium compound tyres here on lap 20 for Ryder Dahl.
Yes, he should be comfortable to go to the end on those, and of course with any late safety cars, of course that does give him an option to pit again, but most of these guys will be hoping in a way that probably is a safety car shortly, so they can have a much shorter pit stop with less time. Well, not shorter, but they'll lose a lot less time doing that. Anyhow, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm trying to find a lot of things to talk about. There's so much going on, I don't know where to start. This is brilliant.
Tim has almost had such a huge snap. He is struggling in the dirty air of Cass. He's struggling a lot here, and it's showing because he's starting to get very frustrated. Sat behind the most successful car in one-hub racing, the Williams racing machine, with 110 wins. So have a look at this. Cass is going for the move on Owen Wyatt. Just look how the tables have turned outside in towards Premiere for the Williams. Is he going to hold it clean? Oh, there's contact! The Aston Martin of Owen Wyatt is sent spinning into the F1 sponsorship board on the exit of turn number 2, and that might just be any chance of a podium gone and taken out of the grasp of the Northern Irishman in the Aston Martin. Cass did get the move done, but there was contact made, and Owen Wyatt has been sent spinning here, and it's heartbreaking for what was such a good performance for Owen Wyatt. Whether it's his fault or not, the stewards will decide that one. However, the one thing we do know is it's not looking likely for a possible win that was on the cards today for Owen.
Yes, I didn't want to say anything, but I noticed it was definitely on for the win, but I didn't actually see anything there. I had a massive screen freeze, so I was a little bit confused as to what actually happened, so I'll have to...
Ryder Dahl, sorry to jump in there. Ryder Dahl has just sent Namsko to the shops. He's pulled a beautiful switchback. That one is going to look nice if he uploads it as a clip. Ryder Dahl gets the job done through Torre Veep and in towards Samsung. He is now in P9 in this Grand Prix. Larkin up the inside of the damaged Owen Wyatt, and there's not really much Owen could do because currently there is no front wing on that Aston Martin. It's completely destroyed as Jamie Mel's in. Tim has now gone for the move on Cass, and when Cass has come into a bit of difficulty, Tim has pounced on it and into turn number 1 of Premiere. It's a much cleaner move than Cass and Owen Wyatt had. Tim is finally through, and as one Haas pits from second place, another one will instantly replace it, and Tim is now into second, 12.2 behind Hayden Samba in the lead of the Grand Prix.
Yes, it's important now for Owen Wyatt to keep cool, keep his head, and just drive to the finish, drive his race. He's not where he deserves to be, but he certainly knows how to score a points finish. He's gone aggressive with the soft tyres by the look of it, and let's see if that works. He's got a brand new front wing, so whether that'll make him a little bit quicker or not. Is he going to come out? I think he's going to come out behind Timo there, who's going to be in P11. I think he's just going to beat Axe as he's out. No, I think he's just about got ahead there, actually.
Just about. Oh, hold on. Could be close. Is Timo going to send one? No, he doesn't. Timo thinks more responsibly than that. However, Owen Wyatt runs a little bit... Oh, that's the end of that one, unfortunately, Timo. Has he's just a bit too throttle happy, and he's put down the power too quickly and gone for a little bit of a donut.
Well, I guess he came out in P10, all right.
He did.
But Damsko is looking to try a move on the back of Ryderdal. He's certainly on the fresher tyres as well, so he looks to be giving all the pressure he can to Ryderdal, but Ryderdal is no slouch and he won't make a mistake easily. And you've got Larkin in clear air, and Khan and Cass now are going back at it again. There's a bit of a three-way fight here for second place. This is going to be a fascinating finish.
Yeah, and another thing is, Ryderdal and Damsko have been battling for all 23 laps in this Grand Prix. It's going to continue into Premiere. Up the inside goes the Terry. He's made that one look easy. That is not an easy move. That's a horrible corner for an overtake in a Formula 1 car. Maybe on a MotoGP bike it's not too bad, but it's horrible to send one up the inside there. Of course, the biggest crash in Formula 1 came there in practice. It was Lance Stroll and Max Verstappen in 2020. We've had a few collisions through there. We've seen Owen Wyatt see his race crumble in front of his eyes. He's currently 10th position, 16 seconds adrift of that battle between Ryderdal and Damsko. Still expecting a pit stop from Nathan Samba. Jamie Mells went for a fresh set of the mediums after going for the softs early on in the race. He's trying to pull an undercut on his rival here. He was about 2 seconds adrift of Nathan Samba. But now, it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, penalties are at play here. Jamie 6, Nathan 5. So if he wants to win the race, he has to win by a second. It cannot be a close one, as the McLaren of Ayoub Khan. Oh, I thought he was coming out of the pits. He wasn't. He was just taking an aggressive line in turn number 1. As his teammates out of the race, and that's a spin, actually, for Axa, who's gone round. It's been a terrible race for Axa, as Jamie Mells' FVR teammate sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a battle for fastest lap points, genuine or not, but Jamie Mells is not comfortable in the position he is now with 6 seconds of time penalties to his name. And of course, remember, Nathan Samba still has a stop-go penalty to serve as he makes his final stop of the race for 5 seconds for speeding into pit lane much earlier on in this race, so it's definitely not over yet for the win either.
That's Axa gone round again through turn 14 of Sagres, where the long lap penalty route is for MotoGP, and he's gone round through Galp again. Oh, that's a high speed spin for Axa, and unfortunately that might be his day done, because Lakitu takes his final points paying position off, and Axa is going to enter the pit lane here on those 16 lap old mediums. It's not going to feel nice on those mediums, so you may as well get never mind, he's going to retire from the Grand Prix instead. That gives Timo another spot in this one. Jamie Mells is flying on this fresh set of mediums. If I was Nathan Samba, I'd be starting to get a little bit panicky, because an undercut may well be possible for the Haas F1 car, as we do see Larkin into the pits on his aggressive strategy. Let's see what the Ferrari will go on to now. It's going to be a set of the another set of the softs, apologies. It is a really aggressive strategy for Larkin, but it's working out well, actually.
Yes, it's looking very good for him at the moment, and I'm just trying to figure out when all the others are going to be thinking about stopping. I'm sure they'll be approaching their desired pit window very shortly, especially the top 5 there need to pit again. So the net lead right now is could be Jamie Mells if all goes to his plan, but of course he does have 6 seconds of penalty, so he's probably out of the running. So it's definitely all to play for still for all the positions. I have no idea where anybody's going to finish.
Samba in. Nathan Samba, race leaders, into the pit lane for what is going to be a set of the soft compound tyres. He's going to be on a quicker, or maybe he doesn't have a set of softs left, actually. We'll have to wait and see. He'll be on much quicker tyres regardless of the compound, and it's going to be a set of the soft red wall compound tyres. However, Nathan Samba has a 5-second time penalty to serve, which is something I forgot about, so he's well going to come out behind Jamie Mells. Cass has now picked up a 3 seconds, meaning Tim is the only one who isn't going to have a penalty. This is going to be oh so close between Nathan Samba and Jamie Mells. There is Nathan Samba on the exit of the pit. It's not, he's going to get out well in front here. There he is into turn number 1. That's Tony's on board. There's Jamie Mells just behind Tony, and Jamie has a 6-second time penalty. Nathan is now on a clean slate. Nathan Samba could be on course here for another One Hub Racing victory.
Yes, it's been a fantastic drive for a lot of these drivers today, and of course a little bit sloppy in places for some of them as well, but there's still time for things to happen. But Nathan Samba is in a great position there, and Owen White has just picked up a penalty of his own. As we were praising him earlier, he's gone a little bit, maybe he's pushing a little bit too hard to try and claw back some of that deficit that he lost, perhaps unfairly, in an incident that, I'll be honest, I did not see. I had a screen freeze, so whatever happened there, I'm sure, will be dealt with after the race. But he's still pushing on for some points. He might feel a little bit hard done by, but he's still comfortably in the top 10. But what you want to see is Tim's pit stop.
Tim and Cass both into the pits here. This will be interesting now. The ball has arguably gone out of Tim or Jamie Mells' court. We'll see. Does it fall into the other half of Tim's? Here is Jamie Mells pressuring Tony, and no, these guys aren't even out of the box yet, and Nathan is passing. Nathan Samba could easily be on for another One Hub Racing victory, as there goes Jamie Mells past Tony. Tim could beat his teammate easily, and so could Cass, because there's 6 second of time penalties on board Jamie Mells. We'll run you through the penalties actually really quickly, folks. It's 6 for Jamie, it's 3 for Tony, 6 for Cass, 3 for Ryder Dow, 6 for Owen White, and 11 for Lakitu as ERT Larkin sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. That is now, I believe, everybody who has completed their second stop. Is hold on a second, here comes Ayub Khan up the inside of Cass. Late braking manoeuvre for the McLaren on Cass. Cass is just going to get the exit on the McLaren here, as Ayub Khan has just not got the run, or has he? Here in towards turn 7, and aid of Samsung. Can Ayub Khan somehow hold this one round the outside through the difficult traction zones? This will be an unbelievable move for the McLaren if he can pull it off. It's an exquisite piece of driving from Ayub Khan, as he's got the job done. Here in towards turn 10 of Portimao, Ayub Khan is in 5th place in this race, and that is a beautiful, beautiful manoeuvre by the McLaren car. Ayub is now in the top 5 and a second One Hub Racing appearance.
Yes, that's definitely not a bad start, his One Hub Racing career, especially at a track that not everyone here would have driven competitively for a while, at least. But it's certainly a lesser... It's certainly a more known entity than we had last week at China, where we'd never raced with these cars around that track before.
Oh, here comes Cass. Cass is going to try and return the favour into turn 1 of Premiera, and this is the real scrap. Williams of Cass gets the job done again into turn number 1, and this is going to be a scrap to the end, I presume, because Cass is he's not planning on giving this one up despite having a penalty.
Yeah, you can tell some of these drivers look very much more at home this week than they did last week, and Tony still needs to pit one more time, but he's had a great run there to be running in the top 3, even though it's on track it won't stay there. But it's a very good return to form considering the issues that he had last week and in the early parts of qualifying. So it's always good to see a driver persevering and doing as well as he can be right now. And Owen White down to P11 as he makes another pit stop. I didn't see damage, so it might just be tactical. I'm not sure.
Yeah, most successful Portuguese One Hub Racing driver, for those who are interested. It's Lamine, who has 16 points, finishes 4 wins over 304 points. Native of Portugal. There's no Portuguese drivers on tonight's grid here in Portimao. It's mainly British on tonight's grid, so we'll have to wait for Silverstone as Tony ventures into the pits. Just got to say, Tony's been running in 3rd place. He's picked up a 5-second penalty, we'll ignore it. Tony was running on the podium after being miles off in qualifying, so it was unfortunate qualifying for Tony. He's recovered and is on for points here. He's on 4 points in the second race of the season, so great to see Tony up in the battle. Ayub Khan picks up a 3-second time penalty. It's even Stevens between himself and Cass. However, Cass sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix and is looking much, much better. Tony is actually going to come out in 9th here, so great result on course for Tony if he can keep it on the asphalt towards the end of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, he's come out miles clear of the car that's behind him on track in P10, and that is a fantastic stint from Tony there to get it to P9, and he's on the best tyre to continue to go forward. So there's only a few laps to go. Very shortly we are going to be crowning a winner here at One Hub Racing, and that's certainly going to change the championship given what we've seen so far tonight. And some of the drivers will have penalties after the race, of course, with the TAS infringement, so that's certainly going to change even further. So that's why we always say these are the provisional results and not the official ones, because there's always going to be something that we've missed. As much as we try to catch everything, there's only 2 of us, and there's way more drivers than people watching, so there's always going to be something we can't see. But it's been a fantastic race so far, with just a handful of laps to go. I cannot wait to find out who wins the Portuguese Grand Prix.
Yeah, can't wait. This will be an interesting one. We're on lap 30 out of 33. It's Nathan Samba who leads by 4.4 seconds. Jamie Mel's on course to finish third, behind his teammate OP Tim due to a penalty count. He's on 8 lap old mediums, went for an aggressive run. It's not going to work out for him, as those softs are just superior tyres at this point in the Grand Prix. Low fuel, it will make it feel like qualifying laps if you're on a fresh set like Tony is. See if he can set the fastest lap. That'll be interesting, of course. There was a fastest lap for outside the top 10 as well. That is currently going to go to Owen White, I believe, as Lakitu struggling home on 11 lap old hards, and Timo he's not been anywhere really in this race. Owen White's had a few blistering laps. A couple laps ago, Ryderdale and Namsco, the only on-track battle. They've been battling all Grand Prix, as Ryderdale takes a bit of curb through 12 and 13. And heading in towards 14, Sagres. He's still in the DRS, and he's going to have, or try to have, a run through Galp. Of course, 68. Oh, he's had a mistake through Galp. Puts down the throttle too early. It was going to say 68% of the lap is spent on the throttle. It was 69% for Ryderdale, and one too early, clearly, as he's kicked out the rear. Oh, White picks up a 3-second time penalty, and as we head on to lap 31, Ryderdale's just dropped outside the DRS, and these two guys on the oldest mediums in the field are, that might just be battle over, unfortunately, for them.
Yes, it might just be one battle a little bit too far, but there's a yellow flag for... Is it Owen White in the background?
Not too sure who it's for. I think it is for Owen White, because... this is actually the battle for the last points paying position, because Timo tried to run it up the inside of Owen White, and Ryderdale picks up a 3-second time penalty. This is the final... This is the closest battle on the field, I should say, as Tony has actually got past... or J. Cole's got past Tony, actually. So J. Cole getting past Tony, as Owen White is sent spinning round. Owen White is out of the points today, and he's sent spinning, and he's now a lap down to his teammate Nathan Samba. Oh, that's oh so unfortunate for Owen White. It's going to be no points in a day that could have possibly looked like... it could have been a podium or a win potentially for him. So, Owen White, that is the day done as we head on to the penultimate lap of the Portuguese Grand Prix.
Just when you praise a driver for doing a lot of points finishes in a row, and could have been potentially up there for Driver of the Day nominations, and that just sounds like a driver that's just had enough today. It's unfortunate, but down in P13 he's got a 5-second penalty which he won't serve, so that'll be added on. Should he complete the race, which he should do, there's only a lap or so to go. But he's got to set some new softs as he's burned the old ones out, recovering from the spin. But it would have been nice to use the streak to nominate a Driver of the Day. But there'll be other opportunities for Owen White to get on the podium later on in the season. If he can drive like he did the first 27 or so laps, then I'm sure he'll be up troubling the podium every week, which will be fantastic to see.
Here we go then, we're slowly approaching the final lap of the Grand Prix. Nathan Samba's controlled this one from the front. It's been a dominant performance by the Aston Martin crew as Lakitu gets past Tony, and that sends Tony out. Oh, is Tony a problem actually? Tony running really slow on the straight. Might be a problem for Tony actually. He's running really slow on the straight, so hopefully nothing major for Tony, and he does get home in a well-earned points position.
Yeah, I can't see any damage or anything, and I'm not sure the TAS is working properly. If there is damage, we can't see. It's not reporting any rear damage, so I'm not sure what the issue is there for Tony. But he's certainly cruising when he was flying a couple of laps ago, so I'm not sure what's happened there. I'm sure he'll fill us in later, but he might possibly be caught by Timo, who is full throttle at the moment. He may well drop down to P12, which is still a point for Tony. But he could have had so many more than that a few moments ago. He was on for that. But we are now on the final lap for the leaders. And this is going to be anyone's guess, really, as to who's going to be on the podium. I think we know, but you never really know what's going to happen until everyone has crossed the line.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of... Oh, Jamie's actually 9 seconds now, so it could be a close one. But we'll have to wait and see. Nathan Samba heading in towards turn 13 for the final time in a track he's absolutely dominated here in One Hub Racing Season 22. Through Sagres for the final time, puts the power down through Galp, and the man is dominated from start to finish, taking pole in wet conditions, dominating in the dry. An all-round classic for Nathan Samba. He takes his first win of the season ahead of Jamie Mells, who'll become the new championship leader, I presume. As maybe not actually, because he's going to get knocked off the podium by, or knocked off second place by Tim. Cass crosses the line in fourth. Ayub Khan will cross the line in fourth, and Cass will take fifth. Namsco will jump to fourth here after the penalties. Ryder Dahl will stay seventh. Larkin, lucky he gave it his best go today, and Ferrari will still get an eighth and ninth when they're not running too well. J. Cole, of course, getting used to the PC. Larkin getting used to some new equipment, I believe, as J. Cole is, he was almost setting a new PB for a sector on Old Medium, so that's an effort that's worth an applause for J. Cole, rounding Sagres for the final time. Owen White picks up a 5, or sorry, he's given a 5 for an unserved penalty. It's no points for Owen White today. Or no, he might actually get a point for the fastest lap outside of top 10. I don't believe Tony beat it. J. Cole then crosses the line in 9th, and it'll be Lakitu who crosses the final position in the top 10. Tony is going to come home in the points. Tony definitely has some issues here in his final stint. He's driving awfully slow, and it's unnaturally slow for the Alfa Romeo, because he was running in a great position in the race, so it's certainly not his pace, as he's actually causing yellow flags, so there's definitely some major issue for Tony. Oh, he's ran out of fuel. Oh, he's ran out of fuel, that's it. Tony, he's run. So that's what's obviously happening. He's been lifting and coasting, Tony, as he's put the car in the red, and he's using his ERS to the line, and Tony will come home coasting to a point finish.
Very nice. Yep, and can confirm that it's also a point for Owen White with the fastest lap outside of the top 10. Unless my eyes deceive me, which they often do. But I'm pretty sure points for everyone tonight. They're finished.
Points for everybody. As here is the man who won it all. It's Nathan Samba, who will lift the trophy here in One Hub Racing in the Aston Martin. Man, my, he's deserved it. He's earned this one this evening.
Yep, he's certainly earned that one. I'm sure he's going to be remembering this race at the end of the season to look back on and think this was a platform towards a potential championship contention. It was a dominant race, and just enjoy the champagne celebrations there. You've earned it.
Double podium for Haas as well. Haas doing really, really exceptional. Nathan Samba, your provisional winner tonight in One Hub Racing. That's not going to be changed. He's did absolutely nothing wrong, and if he does receive a task penalty, it'll only be 5 seconds. He'll still take the win. Tim comes second. Apologies, Tim wins. I don't think he did. Tim comes second for Haas, followed by Jamie Mells in third. Namsco picks up fourth, followed by Ayub Khan in fifth. It's then Cass ahead of Ryder Dahl, Larkin, J. Cole, and Lakitu rounds out the top 10 for Alfa Romeo. It's Timo 11th, Tony 12th, Owen White 13th, Axa in 14th, Jinx in 15th, Nipro and Corey, of course. Axa, Jinx, Nipro, Corey. Non-finishes in this evening's Grand Prix. Of course, we have to give driver of the day nominees. Matthew, who do you go for?
Well, as always, quite a few contenders, and some of them just fell away towards the end when I was thinking about them, but I think I'm going to have to go with going to be Mr. Boring this week and go for the race winner. Dominated qualifying, dominated the race. The question I'd like to ask him is, do you think if snow was possible, you'd have also dominated in the snow as well?
You know what? I really like that question. I think that's a good one. I've got to go for... who am I going to go for? I think I'm going to go for Ayub Khan for my driver of the day. There's no real standout second, but I'm going to go for Ayub Khan. And my question for him is, how did you keep so consistent throughout the course of the race? But that's all we do have time for, I believe, here in Portugal. Matthew, what's your final thoughts on that one?
Well, my final thoughts were the same as the first horse. The person with these penalties is probably going to win. And they sort of did. But I'm not sure if that's a repeat TAS infringement for the winner, because if it is, it will drop him down to P2. But as it stands, one of the best drives I think I've ever witnessed in the commentary box. And that is saying something, because I've seen quite a lot of them. But final thoughts are, yeah, fantastically entertaining week. And I cannot wait for next week.
yeah, cannot wait for next week. Of course, make sure to check out 100 Racing's fantastic partners, because they do help us run the show here. And you've seen we've had two good races so far, and why would you want to miss next week, where we head over the other side of the world to Japan for the ERT Suzuka Grand Prix on the 9th of December. You don't want to miss it. The P3, P2 and us here in the P1 tier. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. My name is Evan Dalton, and stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you next time.